why would I go invest in California when I can go invest in Tennessee, Texas, all of those states that are like, here, come here, please do business, right? So I think just like going into it with that mindset and, trying to find deals that we can sell to the masses instead of a smaller buyer pool is really how you will just like skyrocket your success.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was wondering if I was wasting my time with that because I've been going back and forth with the agent. Got a lot of information. I know how much rent they collect, and I'm like, well, I mean, it's free and clear. They bought it for 44,000 centuries ago, probably.
Right.
And yeah. And I said, well, the only way it will work is with seller finance. Because otherwise I believe it's overpriced because you can't even get, anywhere near the current rent that they have right now.
Right.
Um, if it was able to rent at the current rents in the area, that'd be great. It'd be like 2,000 cash flow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The thing about that is that as an investor, like you really want to be able to, as much as you can, have timelines like locked in, right?
Right.
Like if someone's in a lease and they don't have to leave, you can't project when you're going to start cash flowing that property,
Right.
right? So whereas, if you have no rent control or anything like that, like you as an investor, and especially if you're using other people's money and raising capital, like
Hmm.
even more so, you need to have timelines locked in
Okay.
because if you anticipate, you can turn a fourplex over in 12 months and it's 3 years, you've really got yourself as well as your investors' money into a pickle, right? So I think that's just another reason to just path of least resistance, go find those red states and do your outreach in those states.
Okay. I'll stop
Yeah.
wasting my time with that one then, because I've used up a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
and I also recommend going through again and watching that 5-day challenge. We talk about like the pitfalls of California. I'm in Washington. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Landlord laws, tenants have more rights than landlords, taxes, not really open for business, max exodus, people are moving, high cost of living. And they have things like rent control. So just like Jen said, path of least resistance.
Okay. So
So
I give up on California then. I was just
you
comfortable
don't
with
have
California.
to.
Well, I lived there, but I moved from there.
Yeah.
I moved from there 3 months ago, so now I'm in Nevada, but Nevada is very busy.
Nevada's a good place. It's tough for short term.
Hmm.
Yeah, but don't let that very busy and don't let what you see on social media and stuff like that, don't let that deter you. Because I will say the number one thing, follow up. There are so many people that will make that first phone call, get information from agents and stuff like that, and then nothing. So
Yeah.
if you can have some sort of system in place where you're following up and that saying like you're the squeaky wheel and those agents remember you, they're going to want to do business with you because you're doing the things you say you're doing, right? Like people are like, you can't get deals in Arizona. You can still get deals in Arizona,
Right, right. I'm
you
I'm
know?
I'm getting leads from agents now. I
Perfect.
found that easier to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you. Nelson, how are you?
Good. How are you, Carly?
Good. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
Good
finally
to
made
see
it to your
you.
meeting. I've been trying to
Yeah.
get in here. You guys changed it, so I was able to make it. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. How can we
Um,
help?
so kind of on the same vein as Rose, as you know, I'm in Washington. I actually found a duplex up in Bellingham. I'm looking at, and it's a seller finance. They're open to seller finance. They've got an existing mortgage on it. They're asking 774. I think I can get them down to like 600 range. Um, but they're not willing to do the subject to on that existing mortgage, and they want a sizable down payment. So I'm wondering, like I am gonna buy in Washington. Like this is where I live, and this is the market that I have to deal with. So, but I guess my question is for underwriting that, like if I can get them down to 600 and I can get them subject to take, so I don't have to put as much down, how do I make sure that that is still viably a good deal? It like for
So,
the writing side of things.
so we have, do you have, Jen and I are working on something for like a thing for underwriting, but the rough underwriting for something is we have something where we have an Excel spreadsheet that shows us when we're going to cash flow. So it's like, what's the long-term rental? What's the short-term rental? What's the insurance? So you basically have to be like, what's insurance? What am I going to pay them for their down payment and everything? And kind of hard to explain now. I mean, if it's something that you want us to underwrite, we can pull up our underwriting form and we can do it together and I can show you how it is a deal.
Okay. I have an
Um,
operating spreadsheet, but it doesn't account for subject to, and it doesn't account for some of like the more creative side of things. So yeah, like it'd be helpful to do that. I don't know if we want to do that on this call or if how you guys want to do this.
Can I
yeah,
ask
we
a
can.
question? What are your investing goals? Like, is your goal to just like put your money in a property and have it sit there? Are you looking for cash flow? Like, what's your goal?
Good question. It's a little of both. Like I do want to buy and hold, but I don't necessarily want to buy and hold, especially in a market like Bellingham. The the value in Bellingham is equity, and it's just like so. I would say buy and hold, probably add some value to it. Like the thought that I have on this one is because it's a duplex, I would probably house hack it. So I would move into one side, fix that up, do some renovations. There's some obvious things that need to be done that would be pretty simple, and then rent that unit and then flip over to the other. So it'd probably take me a couple of years to do that while I'm doing my W-2 and kind of working through it. But that's like hold it for a couple of years, add some value, and then sell it once the equity is increased there.
And is your W-2 something that you want to keep? Are you trying to replace?
Ultimately, want to replace. Like my goal is probably five 5 year exit strategy. I don't need
Okay.
to exit right away. I'm happy with it, but it's, I'd like a little more freedom, as we all do.
So I'm going to share with you how I started. I was in a similar position. I had a 9 to 5. My husband had a 9 to 5. He hated his 9 to 5. So my goal was to buy enough doors to retire him from his 9 to 5. So I found a cash flow heavy market. I also live in an equity heavy market. I did not invest where I live. I went, made the cash flow, was able to refinance the properties, doing value add strategy, what you're talking about. He left his job within 18 months of starting investing. And now I can invest in equity heavy markets. So you
Okay.
need to get, and you just said buy and hold, not in a place like Bellingham, but you're looking at buy and holding in a place like Bellingham, right? So I think it's really important that yes, investing in your backyard is like cozy. You can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it. But if it doesn't align with your goals, just wait to do it, right?
Fair. Yeah, that's a really good point. The struggle I have is I've had properties in the past and I've held them like in other markets, and it's really like those moments when your property manager is not doing their like taking care of their stuff and you have to like show up. The idea of flying to Ohio to have to deal with that sort of stuff is just like, I like the idea of just being able to drive to it. So I guess I need to overcome that mindset of, yes, I can find a property that is low enough, like has the equity, has the cash flow to where I can pay for those moments. And I guess that's just that struggle.
Yeah, and I think too, like with that, like, and I'm happy to give you questions to ask property managers and all of that sort of stuff. I did it remote, right? Like I've never been to the province that I started in. I still haven't.
Mhm.
So I think there are certain things you can put in place. You can also always talk to other investors. That's like your greatest way to find a good property manager. Like, who do you like? Why do you like them? What have they done for your building? That sort of stuff. But like, if your goal is cash flow, yeah,
So then if you're
stay.
like, here's an example of a property. Like I was looking at 14-plex here in Everett, and the agents were like, the agent that I contacted was like, this is great property, the great deal, everything else. And so then I went to look at it and we walked the property and there's cracks in the foundation and the windows are sagging and there's like all these things that they're like, of course they want their commission and they're like, yay. So that also kind of gave me pause as to going somewhere in another market where I
I
can't
still
visit.
looked at something. I still did virtual tours. Like
Mhm.
I used an agent, right? Because I wasn't
Mhm.
able to be there. And that agent has a fiduciary duty to myself.
Mhm.
And like all the virtuals, I had inspections. Anything that an inspector is gonna find is way more than what you're gonna find looking at it with your eyes, right? Like I still did all my due diligence.
Yeah.
Did I fly there and like touch the property and walk the property myself in person? No.
So you do, instead of like, because some of the times I see Pace and he's just like buying it without seeing it, and he's not doing inspect. He's like waiving inspections, and he's using that as like a leverage point to say, if you use me, like I'll waive all the inspections. I'll make it really super convenient for you. So you're saying you did go through the inspection process. You did still do all those, and you were still able to find properties and close on them. Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
And I just want to chime in. How high is your risk tolerance?
I mean, it's fairly high at this point. I'm a single guy without kids, and I don't have anything other than me. I've got a fairly good income, and I've got,
So
opportunity to sort of stretch.
that's good that you have that too. I'm just going to give you a little backstory on how I got my first duplex that was also a fix and flip in a city that I've never been into in my life, and I've never been in it still in my entire life.
Awesome.
But do your research. So mine was Kansas City. Do your research. Mine also had a crack in the foundation. And
Mhm.
that can be scary for people. You're in Washington, right?
Yep.
Out here, where it's like, that's not normal here. Apparently, Kansas City has clay ground, and that's completely normal. Like, that's not a big deal there. So research your market, and like get with somebody that is fairly experienced within that market. We had my husband's best friend invests in apartment buildings there, and he was kind of our sounding board. So get someone that really understands the market and be like, is this a good area? Should I be worried if there's a foundation situation? We bought a house that did have a huge foundation crack. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal when we sold it again because they did structural things to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you have a high risk tolerance, which you do need for that
Mm-hmm.
because it is scary. But I echo everything that Jen says. And plus, research, find a market that's cheap, like in the Midwest. Find someone that's an expert at them. Be like, even if you're like, hey, can I pay you to consult? Can I pay you to be my boots on the ground? Can you tell me about this? And even if you find an agent that is investor friendly, that has your best interest at heart, they're not just trying to sell something, will be helpful too.
Okay.
So, and they're going to shoot you straight, and they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to get my commission type agent.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's tough to invest here in Washington too. Everything is so expensive. At least you're not in King County, which is a disaster to be a landlord. Seattle area.
Yeah.
So taxes are high. It's not impossible though.
Yeah. No, I'm intentionally staying away from King County for sure.
Yeah. Smart. Very smart. In Pierce County, where I am, they just passed a law that says if we have to evict someone, then we have to pay for their next down payment to get into their next whatever place, which is nuts.
Yeah, no, that's
Crazy.
It is crazy. It's getting crazier and crazier.
So
Path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Go where they want you. At least that's my investment strategy, like, yeah.
Yeah. But it is scary going across the country.
But especially when you get into the commercial assets, like what you were talking about, like a 14 unit, it's critical that you have the control over tenant turnover because those projections are everything, right? Like if you're investing with your money or other people's money, if someone doesn't leave for 7 years or say the whole building, no one leaves because they know they can't find other units to rent,
Mhm.
like that screws you, right? So you need to go to a market where okay, 1 year lease, your rent's going up by whatever I dictate, right? Like you need to be in control so that you can manage your numbers properly.
Yeah. No, it all makes sense. I think I just have a mindset of like getting over that and not being able to just drive over and fix whatever the issue
Totally.
is. And
But
that's
it'll push you too, right? Like, so my husband and I, where we are, like we've built rental properties here. Guess who's still going to fix the roof and stuff? My husband. Because
right.
it's like, oh, it's just 30 minutes away. It's just this. Whereas, when I buy out of province, he's like, I like that better because you have to have the resources. It pushes you, right? I can't fly to that property every time something goes wrong, right?
Yeah, and so
And I
then when you're building those resources, are you networking through just Facebook and like online, or are you finding those resources through like meetups that you do virtually? Like that concept to me is because I'm a face person, like
Yeah.
it's
So
difficult.
it started with my real estate agent. He basically had referrals. And then as I was in more groups and meeting more people and like getting more like actually into networking and stuff like that, I found other people who were investing in that area and then asked them, right? Who's your property manager? Oh, who do you use for renovations? Oh, who do you use for that? And it just sort of organically happens over time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you to like go into like there's so many investors in Ohio, right? Like you'll be able, there's probably, as I was saying in the chat, like just go on Facebook and Google like investing in Ohio or investing in wherever. And there's
Mhm.
probably some sort of group that exists where you can be like, who do you use for renovations? And at least it's a starting point. You can get quotes and then Google other companies to get quotes from, right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
and also the importance of building out a team. So let's like when you're researching a market, let's do Kansas City, for example, because that's what I did. So this was before sub two and all of this. This was like in 2018. I went into bigger pockets and I'm like, who do you guys use for all of this stuff? I built my team out and flipped an entire duplex without even being there. So think when you're researching your market and before you even get your things, be asking about property managers, be talking about handyman, contractors, asking around and kind of building lawyers, building that little team of yours in that city because you will need a contractor, you will need a handyman, you might need a lawyer. So
Would you suggest doing that before you actually start reaching out to agents and saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy properties"? Like find your
I would
team.
do it at the same time and
Yeah.
be like, and what like the agent be like, oh, you work with investors. Who do you recommend? Who do you not recommend?
Hmm.
That's a huge thing that people don't ask a lot of is who do you not recommend?
Yeah. That's
Because there's
because
because
everybody's got a story.
because everyone's got a story and um fully vet them too, especially property managers. You have to unfortunately you have to manage property managers.
Yeah, you do.
So
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I've taken a lot of time. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
thanks.
Very
Yes.
helpful.
Yes. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Um Anybody else have any questions? Issues that they might have overcoming, objections? You guys will see Robin and Elizabeth on the screen. These gals are our team behind the scenes. So if you guys are submitting deals to us, they're helping us go through. I know that before Jen and I got super busy and we weren't being quick enough. So we're so grateful to have Elizabeth and Robin. They're both sub 2 students. And I think they're both Gators too. Robin, are you a Gator? Yeah, they're also both Gators. So they are great resources as well. And so if you guys are getting close to finding a deal, or if you just want help with a deal, submit it to elephant.aurorainvest.com. We'll get in touch with you. Did we change it?
If you just go to buildinganempire.io,
That's
it
right.
says submit your lead in the top right hand corner.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. I'll put it in the chat.
Jen's our integrator. Can you guys tell?
I was like, don't listen to Carly.
It used to be there. Well, you can still go there, but it's
You
easier
can.
for one website. So, all right. Does anybody have any other questions? Are we gonna wrap it up? Robin,
Hey,
hi.
let's just remind everybody in case they haven't been around for a while that most of their questions will get answered if they just take that little 5-day tour you guys have created for them. So you can learn a lot in there, and whatever we can't answer for you, you're going to find the answers there. So if you don't feel like your response is quick enough, or maybe you're just not quite sure, it's not very long, but it is detailed enough to help you get the answer that you need. So be sure to just pop in and listen to that real quick, even if it's a speed and a half, just to just to find the thing you're interested in and get an idea what you'd really like to ask, a more pointed question possibly.
Yes. And also, if you guys want to ask questions between now and next Tuesday, if you go to buildinganempire.io, you'll go to resources, I think, and you'll find our group. Go there and you can tag Jen, myself, Robin, Elizabeth, anybody in there, and we will get back to you. So thank you guys for coming. I hope we all do deals together. And we are looking, let's talk about our buy box. Jen and I am looking for deals in Phoenix, Idaho, Alaska for single families. And also Jen and I are looking in Carolinas, Texas, Florida, Georgia. Where else are we thinking?
Red states.
Red states. We're going to own at the very minimum 350 doors by the end of this year. And we would love for you guys to bring us that deal, and we can partner with you, and you can make some money, and you can learn about how to do multifamily deals, negotiations, all of that. So that's our buy box. If you guys have anything. Also RV parks next to national parks. So, all righty. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.